Hi folks, hope you're doing well. It's nearly 4 p.m. on the 23rd of July 2020. This is a video talking a little bit about COVID, a little bit about training, and a few other things, I suppose. Well, I'll start on COVID. First of all, the US is, it's bad, really bad. Yesterday, the count was 72, basically 72,000 new cases, 1,205 new deaths. I'd say that's probably a lower count than it probably should be. The deaths, I imagine a death count will probably be higher. But considering it was getting to the point where it looked as if the virus was dying out, at least a little bit was getting slightly better. It's now got a lot worse again. A lot worse. They've seriously mishandled the situation. And the problem is, in America, it's all been about politics, isn't it? It's all been about Republicans saying, well, we're not scared of the Rona. Yeah. We're not scared of this. We're telling people to get out. And, yeah, because we've got to back the idiot in charge. Basically. Idiot in charge says, oh, Rona's fake news. Not an issue, it's just fake news. So, of course, the Republican congressmen and senators have all got to say for their states that, no, we're going to reopen. Yeah, we're not going to have all this rubbish about the COVID. Yeah, trying to back their leader, or non-leader, as I prefer to call him. Because he's not leading, is he? Not in any way, shape or form. He's a non-leader, Trump. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, yes. Total deaths so far in the USA, 146,000. 146,000 deaths. Oh, crazy business. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Active cases. 2 million active cases right now. So how many more deaths are there likely to be from that? I've got to say, it's likely that the death count of total deaths in the USA is going to be incredibly generous, I think. As in, I think the numbers are far worse. When you look at it, they've got 2 million active cases, but it says serious critical 19,000. I think that's very unlikely. I think there's going to be a lot more people that are serious stroke critical. Because it doesn't make sense. And nearly 2 million people recovered. But only 146,000 dead. I think that's very unlikely. Certainly, if you look at the cases worldwide, there you go. 15 million cases in total. But in that 15 million cases, you've had 631,000 deaths. Now, good point. Having looked at that, that's a good point. I'm looking as I'm talking. I didn't look beforehand, which may have been a good idea. It may have been a good idea indeed. Because I'm not that great at maths, so I can't work out the percentage here. It's probably about similar. So whether they're... But the reason why I was thinking America's probably not telling the truth is because one thing is a certainty, China is not telling the truth. There's no way, shape or form. China has a population of 1.4 billion. And yet only, apparently, 4,634 deaths from COVID. I think the chances of that is so incredibly slim. Put it this way, they have slightly more deaths than Egypt, but Egypt only have 102 million people in their population. So, yeah, nowhere near the population of China. And the virus started in China. As it was going for a couple of weeks before anyone even knew about it. And plus the extreme poverty in China when you go outside of the cities, well, certainly the rich part of the cities, is extreme. I mean, you've got factories there that have got suicide nets because most of the products that we get in the West are made in China. And certainly I saw a program the other day that was talking about it, where this person in the UK was trying to buy a kettle, but one that wasn't made in China. You couldn't buy one. They're all made in China. All of them. All of the smaller items, like your kettles, your toasters, any smaller things, they're all made in China. Every single one of them is made in China. Yeah, iPhones made in China. Clothing, shoes, trousers, t-shirts, etc., 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 all made in China. And the people making them are incredibly poor, living in cramped conditions. Many living, sleeping, eating, pooping, peeing in the same factory they work in. Those are the places where they've had the suicide nets because people were jumping out the factory trying to kill themselves. And we're supposed to believe that in that country, where poverty is that bad, where people are living in such close conditions, there was only 4,634 deaths. That seems incredibly unlikely. I mean, it's amazing. But put it this way, Canada had 8,870. They've only got 37 million people in their country, compared to 1.4 trillion. They're double the amount of deaths than China, apparently. So, one explanation maybe is that, like in the UK, I think there was a reverse thing happen. Something like Health UK was basically saying the COVID deaths were a lot more than what they should have been, because anyone who got COVID but then died in a car accident 2 months later, they put down as in dying of COVID. I think in China it's been completely opposite. Anyone who had COVID and died was then put down as dying of something else other than COVID. Because is it likely in any way, shape, or form that only that number of people died in China? No. No, they weren't even looking at sorting the situation out. They were looking at covering it up initially. In that initial stage, that virus would have been rampant and spread like nobody's business. And they weren't doing anything about it. The one thing where China and Russia and countries like North Korea have benefit is that when the governors of those areas say to the people, stay indoors, the people, generally speaking, stay indoors because there's a fear of being shot in the head if you don't. So they're a little bit more, they say stay indoors, and people say yes, sir, stay indoors. But even Russia has admitted 12,000 deaths. Yeah. And they've only apparently got 145 million. Well, 146, say, 146 million population. Which, I say, is way lower. Is it a tenth of China's? It's about that. Yeah. Yet they've got 3 times the amount of death as China. No. It just isn't likely, is it? I think China's deaths could be far greater than the USA's. But Brazil that's bad. Brazil, India. At the moment, Brazil and India and Mexico. Mexico is pretty bad. 915 new deaths yesterday. 6,860 new cases in Mexico. Saudi Arabia, 13,000 new cases. Russia, 5,000 new cases. India, 45,000 new cases. Pretty bad there. So, need to pray for these countries. Mexico, definitely Mexico, South Africa, Russia, India, Brazil, and the USA. Pray for these countries, folks. There's a massive need for that. Huge struggle. The noise you can hear in the background, that's Riley sleeping. And he's sleeping against a door. And of course, his paws are, he's running in his sleep, possibly. His paws are whacking against the doors with his nails, so you can hear that. Quite cute, I must say. Bye. Well, what else? Okay, training. I'll speak a little bit about training. I've spoken a lot about COVID now, right? A little bit about training. I said about the other day that I'm doing this new thing now with the box outside full of stones. Decent sized box. How can I describe? Don't know. You can fit a lot in the box, put it that way. It is a good sized box, plastic box, meant for recycling. It's meant for bottles and cans and stuff like that. So anyone in the UK would know it's the orange box. Anyone in another country wouldn't necessarily know. But that box is jam-packed full of little stones. And then I put some weights on top. So only 10k to start with. But then I can add weight to it if need be. And with that, legs go either side of the box. Make sure planted firmly. Bend over slightly. Lift box up to chest, lower down. Lift box up to chest, lower down. So you're bent over slightly. Now, because you're bent over slightly, one thing I didn't quite understand when I was first doing it, but I've learned, is that obviously lower back becomes a stabilizer for this exercise. And of course, you're bent over slightly, so your back is bent, and you're lifting this weight up. So you're trying to not move your back, just really your arms. You're lifting this thing up with your arms, really. So it's your forearms, your biceps, and your triceps, really using, and your upper back, using those muscles as well. This is great for the upper back. So, of course, it means the lower back is having to stabilize the upper body to keep it from not falling completely down or. But the stomach muscles also are stabilizers in that. So the reason why I mention this is because whenever you do any form of exercise, you've got to remember your stabilizer muscles. You've got to remember that you lift slowly, if you can, lift slowly, but always release and stabilizers slower. Always slower in that way. Because like the other day, when I first realised that the stomach was having a part to play in it, I had stomach cramps. It felt as if I was going to have a little tear of a muscle. As I moved a bit, I could feel it tweak and audio. So I just started massaging the area gently and then stretching a bit. And after about 4 minutes, it went. No problem at all. That's when I realised, it's the stomach is having a part to play in it. So yeah, doing the upper back. Upper back is important. If you're working on chest and shoulders, you have to do the upper back. Otherwise, your shoulders get brought forward too much. You need to bring your shoulders back for posture. So if your shoulders come too far forward as you're doing chest, that's bad for your posture, to say the least. So get your upper back done. That does your area properly. But make sure you're working your forearms. So this one, the reason why I like this one is because it does the forearms. It's good for the forearms. The reason why I say that is because in the past, I used to have a weights bench indoors with dumbbells. And I used to start off with light and get heavier, get heavier, get heavier to when doing chest. It was one of these benches. I've still got a bench, but one of these benches that does decline, the flat, and the incline. And you do the 3 areas of chest. And after a while, once you've got used to the weights, you do 3 sets of 3, but then you'd also do the chest flies as well, throwing a few sets of that in each area. But with that, my forearms got stronger as I went. I never had an issue with not being able to get the weights in position. Now I don't have my own bench on the floor because I can't, because I've got 5 collies in this tiny little flat. So I've got the bench, but the bench is on top of the kennel because I can't put it here. I did for a while. I put it in the little garden I got for a little while. And again, pretty useless because the forearms are so weak compared to the chest right now. Because I said before that when the gym was open, I was using the cable crossover for chest, so I could really push the chest. The problem with that was I was really pushing the chest, but it was doing nothing at all for the forearms in any way, shape, or form, because it was basically the bench was set at the level. Normally for that, it was the incline bench. And incline and flat, because their benches don't decline, which is a bit of a crap bench, really, especially for a gym. I mean, come on. If your benches don't decline, that's really poor, I've got to say. I don't know. Maybe it's a case that when they decline, maybe they're not quite as stable for heavy weights. I don't know. Or maybe it's more dangerous for the person who's using it if they're using heavy weights. I don't know. Maybe that's why they don't. Trying to be see it from their point of view as well. Anyhow, so doing that, you position the cable crossover at the perfect height. So all you're doing is you're pushing up, and it's doing your chest. That's all you're doing. Well, of course, that means it's taken the forearms completely out of the equation. So when I then brought the bench down at home, I could shift with my forearms nowhere near what I could shift with my chest. Nowhere near. So ideally, if you're going to do that, do it with dumbbells and make sure you work your forearms. Because if you're doing things like shoulders, you need to be able to get the weight in position. If your forearms are weak, you can't do it. If you can use dumbbells with any sort of thing and you've got to get the weights in position every time, then you need decent forearms to be able to do that. That's the reality. You need strong enough forearms to be able to get the weight. Because I'd love to be able to go to the gym and just use the dumbbells. I mean, I may just have to do that anyway. I may just have to say, right, let's take a step back. Let's take a step where I'm just going to focus, or maybe do the cable crossover, but then do a bench and just do the lighter ones, where it's just focusing on forearms, getting the forearms strong enough to lift the weight into position, then push, that sort of thing. Yeah. So do all that. Do your cardio, because for me, I hate cardio. Hate it. So incredibly boring. You're in the gym, you're doing your bike, you're doing your running. I mean, I've never done running in a gym. Never done the running machine in a gym. Just haven't done it. Oh God, no. And then there's a skiing one, and then there's the I did the one. There was the climb up the hill one, which is far harder than a step machine. Did that. That was good. I quite enjoyed that because that was hard on the legs, so I didn't mind that at all. Plus, you could do it. You could set it to really hard, so therefore you wouldn't have to do it for very long. The whole idea of 10-20 minutes running on the machine, no thanks. No, I've got things to do. Yeah, I've got a whole workout to do. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes doing that. Yeah, rowing machine did that, and maybe that's something I need to do because I have got a tiny bit of a belly. Which, yeah, for 15, nearly 51, that's not bad. I've got to say, not bad at all. I do walk. I walk with dogs at night, and sometimes I take them to somewhere where we can walk during the day as well. So that's good. Um, yeah, do training, folks. I mean, for me, the training that I do is really, I try and make it based on practical strength. Yeah, lifting the box, the recycle box full of stones. That's if someone needs me to lift something, I can lift it. Yeah, or I've got a better chance of lifting it. Yeah, it's practical. I'm not interested in looking strong and not being strong. Yeah, I'm not interested in looking stronger than what I am. Yeah, the whole idea is to try and develop strength that can be practical. Yeah, useful. I mean, if I end up getting married, at some point I'm going to have to walk. I'm going to have to carry the bride over the threshold. So, although I don't have to. I do a fireman's carry. Does that count? I do a fireman's. Go on, over the shoulder. Go on, there you go. Aye. Well, there you go. But that's why I do things like carry, um, 2 bags of dog food from the car down to my area, through next door's garden, down the steps, into where the food's got to go, stuff like that. Because you get used to carrying stuff that's heavy, then 30 kilograms isn't that heavy, mind, but yeah, that's the idea of doing that stuff. Really, just saying carry 2 bags at once, because then you're pushing it. Your legs have got to work a bit harder. Your arms, because you're carrying 2 bags, your arms have got to hold these things quite tight, and it has an impact with breathing and stuff like that for doing that. So yeah, it's all about doing things differently, doing things practically. For me, really. Um, I know people that are train, and want to build muscle and do bodybuilding stuff like that. Not for me. Never been interested in that at all. Never. I mean, thankfully, I've got a body that I don't have to work out that much to put back on the muscle that I've lost over the years. It tends to bodies tend to remember that and get it back fairly quickly. That's good. So but apart from that, yeah, I'm not interested in looking muscular. Just trying to make sure I can still be practical, still walk, still do things as I get older. Really. You take care. God bless, and I will speak to you soon. Bye bye.